friends, and welcome back to our crochet chat. So this month, what we're working on is finishing up our shawl. So we've got this beauty is done and blocked, but she is huge. So really, because I altered the pattern, I've got this super long tail, and I've tried putting it on and styling it and wearing it several ways, and it's just not working. I think I have too much yarn in there. The decision to bulk up the pattern just made it way longer than it needed to be, and it just doesn't quite work as a shawl now. So I'm not sure if I want to tear it apart and go ahead and take more colors out of there or not. So that's kind of depressing thought, but it's just time, right? I've got my Flatiron Shawl is not in the house, so that's my lunch work project. So I've got that back at the office, but I'll show you that later. And in the meantime, we have taken those 2 skeins of yarn that the hand-dyed yarn that I couldn't get more of, and we are making a scarf. And this is going super fast, so it's a really pretty pattern. I'll link it below. It's just kind of like a scallopy star pattern. I don't even think it's a star pattern. It looks more complicated than it is. It's really easy, it goes really fast, and I've really enjoyed making it. It's a nice scarf, it's not too hot, and I'm really going to enjoy wearing that on the cold mornings going into work. Another thing that I got is the Tunisian Crochet Handbook from TL Yarn Crafts, Tony Lipsy, and I got a signed copy because I figured why not, she's sending me one anyway. So I have a signed copy of that, excited to get into Tunisian crochet. I just did one little swatch, but I have several patterns lined up to make from her that are Tunisian crochet, and I found a good set of hooks. So this is a Tunisian crochet hook set from We Crochet, and it goes from 3.5 millimeter to 6.5 millimeter. It has several of the cords and stoppers on there as well, and just from the little I've done so far, it's really nice. They do have like a little indent for your thumb, which I really enjoy, and the hook, I don't know if you can see that, but the hook itself goes really high up, which is what I was talking about before. What I was struggling with the other crochet hook set was that hook overhang was not enough to keep the yarn in there. It kept slipping out. So very excited to get started with that and do the Flatiron Shawl. And then I've got more yarn like this where I only have a few skeins that I would love to just keep going with these scarves. So I've got a few other scarf patterns lined up, YouTube tutorials that I found that I would like to make scarves out of. So I think I'm just gonna get rolling with the scarves and get those going because those are nice and fast. So yeah, still not sure what I want to do with this. I think I'm gonna have my sister come over and play around with it and see if there's a way that I can wear this that doesn't look stupid, because I hate to tear it all apart, but part of me thinks, as usual, I should have just gone with the actual pattern and not altered the pattern, because now, yeah, plus there's just too many colors. There were too many colors in that mini pack to really make with this shawl. So I might rethink using different colors with this shawl. I have other yarn that I could use with this, or maybe just scrapping the whole thing, or just taking some of the colors out so that this isn't so huge. So we'll see what happens, but there's really no point in me keeping this like it is if it's not going to be something that I want to wear and isn't something fun. So I'd rather redo it into something I actually want to wear, even if I've basically made the thing 4 times now. So that'll be interesting. Okay, well, stay tuned for the rest of the month of me making stuff, and I'll share that with you as we go. Thanks for coming, and I hope you have fun. Okay, so I bought these blocking mats on Amazon. I can link them below. And hopefully I have enough. There's 9 of them. And they are interlocking. Ooh, so they just look like foam pieces that interlock. So we're going to use these. They came with some T-pins, which I do like using T-pins, so we'll see if that's going to work for us. But I also got these knitters, you can see them, knit blockers. Whoa, and what they are is it's kind of like, I don't know if you can see that very well, but they're little tines, so they're like multiples on here. And they come in that size and a little smaller size for you to use. So we're going to try setting these out. See if we have enough blocking boards, first of all. And I'm not going to be able to do the other side. I think we're just going to be doing one edge at a time at this rate. I'm wondering if I even need to block this edge, because this edge looks fine. It's really just this edge that's curling up that needs to be blocked. So maybe that's what we'll do. Okay, so this is a cool thing that I bought on Amazon. It's like a little tub so that you don't have to clean out your entire sink. Although mine's pretty clean because we just gave the dogs a bath. And then it's got this little drain in the bottom that can be opened or closed. So that's kind of a fun thing to have. And that is open. This is closed. So I'm going to go get my wool wash. So I bought the Outback Gold wool wash and conditioner. It's got lanolin, aloe, and tea tree oil. It kind of has a strong scent, which I was not expecting, but not too bad. And let's see, rinsing is optional, so probably not going to rinse it. Now the last thing I blocked was acrylic, so I technically didn't need to block that Christmas blanket, but it was a rehearsal for this because I wanted to make sure I knew how to use this. Okay, hand washing, 1 teaspoon, half a capful per gallon of water, which is actually going to be less. I don't think we're using a whole gallon of water here. So, ooh, that's strong, that tea tree oil. Okay, I'm going to fill it with cold water, and then I'm going to go get the shawl. Now, the lady at the quilt store, or the lady at the yarn store, said not to move it around too much. So we're not going to agitate it too much. I'm just going to make sure everything is covered. Water is so cold. Okay, I'm just going to let it soak and make sure that that stuff is all through here. Okay. Allowed to soak for at least 15 minutes. Because if you agitate it too much, you're going to felt the yarn. So that's the whole reason why you do the wool wash instead of washing it or rinsing it or anything. So we're going to leave this for 15 minutes, set our timer, and come back. Okay, we've waited our allotted 15 minutes, and I'm just going to scrunch it a little bit. Now it says I don't have to rinse it. My only issue now is how do I get this out? Okay. I think I'm just going to squeeze it a little bit. I mean, I can't wring it dry. I have to get it dry enough to at least get it into my bedroom and onto the towel. And then we're going to roll it. This thing is so long. Okay. Good news is my sink is pretty clean because I washed the dogs earlier today. So we had to clear everything out for that. Tony from TL Yarn Crafts has a good video on this, like how to do blocking. So I watched her video. I should probably watch it again because I can't remember how long we're supposed to leave this in a towel. Okay, let's take this into the bedroom. Kind of getting a whole house tour today. Okay, so I'm gonna double this up just so that it fits within this towel. Spread it out a little bit. It really smells like wet sheep, so I guess I'm doing something right. So, it's still wet, but that's okay. So I've got my pins here. Now we're going to kind of sacrifice the end there because the main part I want to get is this top end with the end there. So I'll show you that over here. So I really want to get this blocked because this is the part that has those little things on it. So I'm going to push that through there. Just kind of make a straight line with this. Now if I had enough blocks, I would also be blocking this out this way. But this is where we're at. And this edge is gonna kind of wrap around. So I'm not gonna get the full thing on the blocking boards, but c'est la vie. Okay, so not ideal because I can't get this off there. I would let it hang, but I'm afraid this is gonna twist up if I let it hang. So we're just going to do it this way. Now this edge, obviously if I had enough blocking boards, I would be blocking this edge as well. So it's a little off kilter there. Let's try and get the stripes lined up a little more. And then we've got our edge is off the edge, but I think we're mostly going to be okay. We're basically just trying to make sure that this end doesn't curl up like it was before. So we will leave this for 24 hours and check back. Hey folks, so I wanted to show you the scarf that I've been working on. If you've been here a while, you remember that I ordered some Bird Street yarn as an option for that shawl that I was making, and it turned out to be fingering weight yarn and it wasn't going to work for that. So I had these 3 balls of yarn, and I didn't know what to do with them, and my sister suggested, why don't you hold them 2 together? So I came up with this pattern. So I held these 2 together until I got halfway through the balls, and then I held these 2 together, and then I held these 2 together. So it's going to be a very interesting scarf with 3 different stripes. So that'll be interesting. But I thought that was fun. It's going really fast, so I'll put a link to the tutorial that I used from Atreyu Crochet. I can't remember his name, but I'll put it down below. It's a fun double crochet 2 together scarf. So it comes up with this really nice weave pattern and looks really nice, and it's warm, but it's not like super thick, if that makes any sense. So I'll be working on that, finishing this off, and then I'll get back to that shawl I was working on. I haven't torn apart the other shawl yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this other TL Yarn Craft shawl, which is very close to the original pattern that I was supposed to make with the other one. And I'll see what it looks like, how it drapes, how big it is when it's done, because it's basically the same size as the other one would have been if I had made it correctly to the pattern. So I don't want to tear that one apart until I see what this one looks like. If it's the right size on me and everything, then I can judge whether I'm tearing that one apart. Part of me feels like I don't even want to do that pattern with that yarn. It's such a beautiful gradient by itself that to break it up with that other yarn just seems a shame. They don't seem to go together. So what I was thinking of doing, I have those two semicircle scarf patterns. I was wondering if I could just start with the gradient, and then you'll just see this beautiful gradient through the semicircle scarf. And I'll be able to use more of the yarn because I'm not using that other yarn at all. And then what I could do is find a multicolor yarn to go with that other yarn to make that shawl with, if that makes sense, to make the original shawl with, and just do it as the original pattern, but not try and do it with all of these gradient mini skeins. Yeah, I just feel like I'm overthinking this a lot.
Back to what used to be home, passing by those little towns I know so well, stopping for gas and then I'm behind the wheel again. Driving is like a spiritual cleanse where every mile is a new beginning and every bend holds a new end. Eyes on the road, don't lose control. I'm speeding fast to chase my soul. I'm driving to get away.
Ugh, 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 ugh. Okay, so I got to the end of the pattern here for the Flatiron Shawl, and this is what it's looking like. It's extremely teeny. So I went back and looked at her pattern, and sure enough, she's using more than one skein for each of her colors, and I didn't realize that. It's just kind of hard to tell on the pattern. So I basically needed 1,300 yards. But she used fingering weight yarn, and I really wish there was an easy way to tell, like, if the pattern calls for X amount of yards of fingering weight, how much is that in DK weight? So I looked online. I can't find, like, a decent conversion chart or anything. So I basically have, like, 500 yards at this point, 600 yards. So well under what it needs to be. Now what I can do is I can take that third color that I was just going to have as the border, and I can taper it in here like I did with this color. So I can pull this back a few rows and taper this in. The problem is this is going to be like even smaller because we're going so wide now that this 1 yard of, this one skein of yarn only took up this much space as opposed to like that much space on the previous. Now this is 2 yards of this one, so that's why this is so much longer. But as it gets wider, this just isn't going to make as many rows. So I'm kind of concerned about that. Trying to figure out, I didn't really want much more of this color other than the border, because I don't think it really ties in great. But I don't have another one, and I can't find another one that really goes with it. So I figure before I tear this all apart again, I might as well test it out and just see if this works or not. I've got a long car ride tonight to go see my nephew in a play, so I pretty much need something to do in the car. So that's where we're at. I don't have any other project I could work on anyway. So before I tear this apart, I'm going to go ahead and add this one in and see. The only problem with that is that I'm not going to have a nice definitive border if I use this for the border. So this is the difficult part, is really seeing what I can do here. I could find like a dark gray to do a border with, to to tie in with this? I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss right now. I'm feeling very dejected because I'm already gonna have to tear apart the other shawl with the out of vent yarn and figure out something to do with that. And because that one was the stripes, I basically have a bunch of knots from tearing it apart the first time. So now I'm going to have knots upon knots upon knots. So I feel like by the time I tear this one apart, the other one apart, it's just going to be a bunch of knots. So like a knot every yard of the yarn. I mean, she basically used 3 colors, and I assumed she used a skein of each color, but obviously not, because she's saying approximately 1,300 yards or any 3, see, here's where I got confused, any 3 1-gram skeins. And that's what I have. I have 100. I have 300-gram skeins, but see, hers are way more yards than mine, because mine are only 231 yards. And she's got, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. That's the moral of that story. So I'm not going to have this nice border in the different color if I do it this way. I guess we will just see what happens on my 2-hour car ride. See if I get totally frustrated or not. Okay, I just had a brilliant thought. Since the main problem I have here is the largeness of the whole thing, I'm wondering, and I hate this color change right here, it did not work out at all. I'm wondering if I just take this part off, because if I started here with the stripes, or even right here where that color change is, if I was able to knot this off somehow, like cut this off and then have it just start right there, I just don't know how that would work with yeah, I've never done this because this is the starting end of the shawl, not the ending end, so I can't really undo all of this. I mean, I guess I could cut there, but then do I just add another line of stitching? And how do I do that from the wrong end? But that's an interesting thought, because then I wouldn't have to tear this whole thing apart. It would pretty much be the right length if I did that. And yeah, I feel like this took so long, and it's pretty, it's just too long. That way we would have a few of the purple in this gradient. I don't know. I just don't really feel like tearing it all apart and starting all over again. So maybe I should just do that. Maybe I should just cut here, unpick one of these, although I don't know how to unpick from this side, and somehow do a knot off, close off stitch here. Let me ask the Facebook group and see if they have any ideas. Okay, so if I'm able to use that yarn and not destroy my shawl, then I get to ball up new yarn. So I've got the Pemberley and the Adalia. I think I want to work with this yarn first. So we are going to ball this up. So this is the La Jolla Superwash Merino. The plain green is Irish Moss, and then these two are October 22. And my birthday's on the 21st, so you know, October is a great name. So yeah, I don't know which shawl I'm gonna make yet.
In the fast lane life, riding high, reaching for the sky. I had it all but lost and fell back down again. Spent my time playing the game where every single day was a losing battle and every drink was a dead end. Eyes on the goal, don't lose control. I'm living fast, I've lost my soul.
Hi friends, so we are at the end of March, so thank you for joining me and seeing all the yarny goodness that I've been up to. I love to share that with you. As you can hear, I've been sick all week, so I've really been catching up on my crocheting and getting that done. We've got our Flatiron Shawl here, which I am gonna wind up pulling my stitches. Hang on a second. Let me get a stitch marker in there. Okay, so here is our Flatiron Shawl. I was hoping only to use the 2 colors, but did have to go into the 3rd color, which it's looking really nice actually. I really like it. So I think once I'm done with this skein of yarn, I will be at the right size for the shawl. The only question is the border row. I don't think it's gonna look different enough since it's gonna be in the same yarn. So I'll see what I'll do then. I don't really have any like dark gray or black yarn, which would be great for the end of that. I've got my yarn all balled up for my next shawl, which we will be doing. I thought we were going to do the Pemberley, but I'm actually going to do the Adalia shawl. It looks a little bit easier to get started with, and I haven't done one of the Expression Fiber Arts patterns before, so I figured this will be a little bit easier for me to wrap my head around and work on our vacation. So looking forward to that, and I'll share more of that with you coming up in the next month. And as you saw, I think I'm just gonna tear apart the very end, or actually the very beginning of the Bronwyn shawl. It's just too long. It's like down to my legs long. So I think if I take off that first part, try and like do a reverse or like, you know, an upside down single stitch row, then I might be able to just cap that off. I really don't want to undo the whole thing, and I'll wear it for a while and see if I like it like that. If I don't, I can always tear it apart and do another shawl with it, but yeah, let's try that first before we tear it all apart. Okay, well, as always, thank you for spending time with me this month. I really appreciate it when you come and I get to share these things with you. So until next time, I hope you have a wonderful month ahead. Love you. Bye.